Yeah, so it was at the end of last season and Dai put a post out on his Instagram about his little girl, and us as a club and Dai both got together and just thought, what can we do to move forward from this and help him and the supporters. So we're hoping to raise awareness about hidden disabilities for both supporters and the club, and trying to make the invisible visible.
I'm Dai.
And I'm Shaunie.
And this is Delilah's story.
Just starting the interview off with, we're starting with a nice backdrop of Delilah running around in the background. In terms of Delilah, when did you first start to notice that in terms of her development there might have been some delays there and some things to look further into?
I think it was around her second birthday. She was coming along at times with her speech, but then she regressed back from 10 words down to just the one word, even though that one word would have been daddy, which was nice, but it was something that we had alarm bells ringing on at the time, where she'd come on really well and then over a matter of weeks regress back to quite a long period, maybe 6 months or so. So around her second birthday was the first time we really noticed things being a little bit different, I suppose.
Were you two quite keen to get a diagnosis, and when you did get one, what was that? What were you being told?
I think at the time we had really good support. Dai was at Ipswich and we lived in Suffolk, and I know across the country waiting lists are like real long. But when we were in Suffolk, they were quite keen to get her in with the paediatrician, and she had some digestive problems at the time, and the paediatrician was quite forward in suggesting genetic testing. It threw us a little bit, didn't it? Because, you know, it was worrying. It was the first time we'd sort of heard anything like that, and they put her forward for genetic testing, and we got the results while Dai was on pre-season.
The first pre-season trip to Spain it was, when we found out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that difficult, not being together at that time?
It was. We played Getafe on a Thursday, maybe, whatever day it was, and I came off the game to the worst text you can have of "please ring me," and a few missed calls. So it was really worrying for me personally, for being away, trying to settle in a new environment as well, but also not understanding fully of what we were being told. I think my main concern was her health. Is her health affected? Which was scary at the time because we didn't know the answer to that.
Yeah, and I think the way that it was sort of, the news was given to us, the paediatrician who said, I'm not clinically trained to tell you, you know, what it means. You get a call saying that your daughter's got abnormalities in a genetic makeup, and she just sort of said, you're going to have to wait to see a geneticist to tell you what that means, and that was a 6-month wait. So you almost get told this news and they can't support you, they can't even tell you what it means, so that was really difficult for us at the time. She's making a lot of noise, she's playing with the dog.
When you mentioned that 6-month wait, I suppose there's so much uncertainty over both of you. You're not even together at that point at the start. Do you even know how to feel, how to react?
I built, in terms of me personally, while I was in Spain, me and Freddie have got on really well from day one. So I was lucky that I was with him a lot of the time and we could talk about it. But it was difficult, it was worrying, we were talking, we were getting all the results through, and I'm sticking all sorts of numbers and letters and things into Google to try and find something, which obviously I couldn't find anything because I wasn't searching the right things or whatever. But that week it took forever to finish, to get home to the girls, and then it was weird when I got home because I was expecting to see someone different than what I was used to because a diagnosis had been made. But she's just our Delilah, so it was all once I got home, it was a lot easier to manage than it was obviously being away.
People naturally sort of fall back onto Google, where you can interpret things completely incorrectly. You can further panic yourself when there's actually no need to be panicked. But yeah, it was difficult. It was a hard time to sort of get our head round, because like I say, from a health perspective, you know, some of the things we'd read was heart conditions and various other medical implications that could be. Fortunately, Delilah is not, as we know, affected by those. But the way they just sort of left it with us was difficult.
I'm sure you've learned so much about it since that point, but the whole point of the HD Sunflower thing is it's such an umbrella term. There's so many different kind of strands, and it's so vast. What are your experiences just with Delilah? Because obviously that's what you can talk about in terms of the changes you then had to make after finding out.
For us, we've obviously learned that Delilah has a certain way of processing things, and a certain way of responding to the environment, to change. So specific to us, we have sort of ensured that she's got a daily routine in place that she understands. If that daily routine changes, so does her behaviour, because she doesn't really understand or can process that level of change. One of the biggest things for us is being able to understand, or still understanding, isn't it, her triggers. What triggers her, and how, when we can best respond to that. And you can't always prevent it, but there's certain things that we, you know, do day to day that help keep Delilah as regulated as possible.
Obviously, first and foremost, your parents. We're sat here talking about you being parents and your child, but you're obviously deep into the world of football, both of you really. A lot of newborn babies in the PNE squad right now as well. How have you found that environment, being with people that maybe you wouldn't have met in other environments?
I think since we've been here, we've been a lot more settled. We're closer to family, or Shaunie's family. So that side of things is, since we've been here, it's been a lot easier to manage. But with football being football, we've lived a long way from family at times, and especially with the unknown with Delilah at one stage, it was difficult for both of us. We didn't really have the support because we were so far away. But I think being here at Preston with a great group of lads who all accept Delilah, it's been brilliant so far. She's currently waving a leaf out the window. But yeah, I think Shaunie will tell you about some games. Obviously, Delilah comes to the games, and it can be difficult when she's dysregulated. There's lots of people around, and I suppose it can be difficult, can it?
With moving, you meet people that you don't necessarily meet if you're sort of settled in one place. We've met a couple of people. One of them is my close friend who has been going through this with her little boy. We met in Ipswich, and her knowledge and her support has been unbelievable. She's educated me to where I am today. We've educated one another. And you know, without being in football life, I'd have never met her. And although your friends, your childhood friends, your family friends can support you, you're not necessarily going to meet that person who is experiencing parenthood the same way that we are. That's been a huge thing for us. The support that they've given us has been unbelievable.
Obviously, as Shaunie mentioned, meeting different people through football also helped us with knowing the next steps to take with helping Delilah as well.
Yeah.
With people that probably have been through similar sort of journeys.
The main reason why we're sat here talking today is the HD Sunflower scheme. It's fantastic news that the club are partnering with them and doing this going forward, and we'll hear more about that from Lucy later on. But in terms of you guys going through the hidden disability process over the past 3-4 years, how good is that to hear that the club which you play for and represent are really trying to make a change within the fan base?
I think it's absolutely amazing. there's a lot more that needs to be done for society to be more accepting of neurodivergence. The Sunflower lanyard has helped us immensely, from travelling to even coming here, and Delilah's way of communicating may not be understood, but they don't necessarily see how hard she's worked to get to that point. They don't see that her running off is actually a way of self-regulating as opposed to misbehaving. So the Sunflower lanyard, and ultimately the reason, you know, we're here and doing this, it is to raise awareness and for to normalise things. The way Delilah behaves sometimes is different to a societal norm, but what is normal these days?
As Shaunie mentioned, we just want to normalise things, and we want our sport and Preston North End to be open to everybody.
What would you say to Preston North End supporters that might be going to games, they might be seeing these lanyards which they've never previously seen before? Hopefully this raises the awareness so they do know what they are, but what can they do to make that person feel more comfortable?
Research what the Sunflower lanyard is for a start. I think a lot of people see it and associate it with something that it's not. I know during COVID a lot of people wore these lanyards and it confused people as to what the purpose of the lanyard is. But there's been a couple of occasions where we've been at games and people have just not known how to interact, and it can come across as rude, and it's not necessarily the case. It's just that people are not educated enough in knowing what to do or what to say or how to be.
Obviously the aim of this whole campaign is we're hoping that as many fans do take up the opportunity, and if they feel that they need to, they want to, they can wear these lanyards. What can Preston North End fans who are just finding out about this campaign might not know as much as you guys do? What can they do to help those people that are wearing the lanyards to make them feel more comfortable?
I think first of all would be to research, obviously, the Sunflower lanyard and read up and see why people are wearing it. And I think then generally just be patient with others. Everyone's going through something different, obviously, and I think just a little bit of patience goes a long way.
From your experiences, what would you say, what would you advise to parents which might now recognise that the child might need an extra little bit of support? What would you advise they go and do?
There's a lot of support out there, and I think ultimately it's understanding that there's no shame in your child needing that extra support.
Our journey's been full of ups and downs, and there's no right or wrong way to go about it.
So you can get a lanyard from the ticket office. If supporters aren't able to come into the ticket office, they can call up or they can send an email in and we'll be able to sort it. We do have a form to fill out, but it is an optional form, so if supporters don't want to fill it out, they don't need to. It won't affect them getting the lanyard.
Who is your favourite player?
Daddy.
Freddie!
Yay.
Wow, what have you got? Thank you. What is it?
Is this the biggest leaf that you could find?
Little Daddy.
Is it for me?
Thank
No, not yet. Is it a leaf?
I can see you.
Hello, my name's Daddy. What's your name?
Delilah.
Delilah. Are you French now?
The main objective is to make an inclusive and welcoming environment for everyone attending our games.